Welcome to the Lean In podcast, where we tackle life's curveballs with wisdom, a dash of humor, one laugh at a time. I am your host, Shiro Mwangi, and today I'm going to be talking about something that I have been trying to get the hang of for a while. I'm going to talk about work-life integration. I am not calling it balance, I'm calling it work-life integration because in this period that we are in, post-COVID, so backtracking a little bit, especially in Africa, before COVID, we were all 8 to 5, go to work, come back home at 5 p.m. or at 6 p.m., and the cycle goes on and on and on. And I remember I was working in an organization where we were trying to globalize or localize global policies, ensure that we're giving employees flexibility, but we were still feeling like maybe we are not mature enough to get into that flexible space. However, COVID came, and that meant we had to change how we work. So by day, I'm a HR professional, so this is something that I'm doing for me and also try to do for the organization that I work for. So we find ourselves in spaces that we had not planned for. People needed to continue working because all of us know COVID came and we were like, okay, maybe we need to take leave for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, this thing was not going away. It was actually getting worse. And people are we could just see reports of countries that were going on lockdown. So we needed to come up with strategies that ensured work continued. There was business continuity as much as people were not coming to work. So as ready as we were not, most organizations in Africa, we found ourselves figuring out or borrowing best practice when it comes to flexible working arrangement, working from home, remote working, etc. So as working at home, you're homeschooling your children or your children are doing online classes and you're able to deliver at work, cook for your family, ensure they're doing homework, etc. And then COVID sort of died-ish. And we had to sort of find balance. So a lot of organizations ended up doing hybrid work. So where you work home 3 days a week or 2 days a week, and the other days you're working from the office. There's flexibility with the starting time, etc. This was an amazing revolution that helped organizations and employers shift their mindset to sort of new ways of working. However, a few years later, we are at that space where we're wondering, okay, is this working in terms of collaboration, in terms of teamwork? How are people relating? Have people become too siloed? Are people communicating with each other? So a lot of organizations have started going back to work. Now, work-life integration becomes quite a bit of a challenge, where we had the last 3 years, you're used to doing things a certain kind of way. Suddenly, you need to reshift into ways that you had moved away from. You had made it work for you. You're able to drop your kids, pick them from school, etc. However, how do you, in today's day and age, as a professional, as a business person, ensure that there are boundaries? There's work-life integration, yes, but you have boundaries such that work is not everywhere in your space. I'm going to give my own example. So I currently work in a space where I have a bit of a flexible work arrangement, and I work in a space where sometimes time overlaps. So way into the evening, I'll find myself still working and in meetings. At one point, my little one, I'm a HR professional. At one point, we were going through a work transformation. And I remember him coming to ask me, what is it that you do again? And I would try to explain to him, so this is what I do. And he'd be like, when I grow up, I don't want to do that. I want to work in the factory. Well, that has changed. Right now, he's going to be a CFO because CFOs make a lot of money. So from his little mouth to God's ears. Anyway, back to work-life integration. So what I have done and it's a try-X, it's a try and error. Sometimes you are really good at it, sometimes you're not very good at it. there are those things that are almost non-negotiable. So for example, dropping my kids to school, unless I've traveled, or unless I have a very early meeting, or unless I'm unwell, I always commit to ensure that I am dropping my kids to school. This is such a precious time, 10-15 minutes, that we're going to talk about politics, their understanding of politics, about the happenings globally. We're going to look at the cars. We're going to talk about different things. We're going to listen to music. Sometimes we take turns listening to music. So you put your song. And I would not trade that time for anything. And then thereafter, I start my work day. I try much as possible. I used to love cooking. So much as possible, maybe once a week or so, I will cook for the kids. So it's having very clear boundaries as this is how far the work comes, and having guardrails that ensure that this one aspect of your life is not spilling over to this other one. Because it's very easy today when you have your work email, your Slack, or your communication on your phone. So that means if an email comes through, there's a notification. So having guardrails is, I have set my notifications such that after a certain period, my notifications will not come on my phone. After a certain period, the notifications will not. It actually shows I'm away from the workspace. So even the expectations of the people that I'm interacting with, they know I'm not available at that particular point. So another thing that has worked for me is time management. When my kids were younger, I used to have time for everything and planning, really. My sister would keep joking that I have a reminder even for sleeping, because that's how I'm able to keep track of everything that I am doing. If I have a dental appointment at 11 for one of the kids, I'm going to put it in my calendar because I know this is the flow of things. How am I delegating? As I'm managing my time, how also am I delegating? So I have a busy work schedule. Like tomorrow, I have a very busy work schedule. Time management, delegation, making sure that you're planning for everything. So my calendar, it will show meeting, dental appointment. But because I don't have time to leave work, go pick the child, take them to the dentist, so I have delegated such that there's somebody who will get her to the dentist. I will leave work for that period, go and attend to the dental situation. The child will be brought back home, and I'll continue with my work day. But it's part of my calendar, because even as employers, you do not expect for your employees to completely disassociate their work life or their work with their personal life. We keep telling employees, bring your whole self to work. Bringing my whole self to work means I'm bringing my whole, the good, the bad, and all my baggage. I have these things that I have to take care of. Obviously, I have to also ensure that there's a balance and I'm meeting my commitment at work, much as I am also prioritizing my family and my kids and everything else. Also, how do you make use of technology? I have talked about how I plan for everything. And then interlinking my calendars. I will use my phone. I remember somebody once saying we only use our phones for as gadgets to receive and call, but it's such a useful tool. You can use it for so many things. So I will plan. I will do my budget. I will do my time management there. I will schedule whatever I need to do. I will do my alarms in there. So find ways of making technology work for you. If it's a meeting that I need to take and I don't need to do it in person, can I do it virtually? So how I take advantage of my flexible work arrangement, for example, or the meetings that I know at work are virtual meetings, I'll put them on example, like a Wednesday. So morning to evening, I'm on virtual. Then it becomes easy for me to work from home that day. One, I'm saving commute time. I'm able to focus, and I'm still able to keep an eye on what is happening on the home front. And the other days, so for example, Monday, Tuesday, I have my face-to-face meeting. That's the time I'm going to be in the office, interacting with people, doing whatever I need to do. So finding a balance that works for you. If you're lucky, you are in a space that you get a flexible work arrangement. And that's something that we are all negotiating nowadays. You're asking, okay, what are the benefits? What are the working hours? What flexibility policies do you have in place? So find that that works for you. Make it work for you. Don't take advantage of your workspace. Don't take advantage of the flexibility. Make sure that in as much as you're working from home, you're actually delivering. We have moved as organization from the clock in and clock out to deliverables. So make sure you actually deliver, so that you're not making the organization regret why they're allowing for this flexible working arrangement. Deliver. Work really hard, balance your things, and ensure no balls are dropping. I talked about in our earlier podcast, I talked about being present. I have talked about quality over quantity over and over again. So you need to ensure that if I have 30 minutes with my kids, for example, that 30 minutes is going to count. I'm going to make it count. So make sure that quality is counting over quantity. If you, for example, I give an example, I have to take my daughter to the dentist. So the other hours that I am at work, I'm going to be plugged in and I'm going to make them count, and I will deliver, and I'll ensure that whatever I had set out to achieve that day, I will achieve it. Self-care as well. Don't get too caught up juggling so many balls, trying to keep all of them afloat and forget to take care of yourself. Because if you do not take care of yourself, if your mental space is not clear, if you don't have mental clarity, if you're not healthy, if you're not taking care of yourself in terms of what you're eating, your exercise, your checkups, etc., then you'll not be able to balance. So do take care of yourself. Also, the support that you have will help you be able to ensure that you're balancing, or you are integrating these two aspects of your life in an easier way. And the support could be the house help that you have. We in Africa are lucky that we're able to get help all around. So ensure that the things that do not need for you to do, you're delegating them. I have learned, I used to be a control freak. I wanted to do everything. I used to scrub my house over the weekends. I don't know where I used to get that energy. Nowadays, I'm like, the house is clean. I know I want a spotless house, but I have somebody who is doing that. I don't have to be spending hours and hours scrubbing my house. So I will only do that which I only can do. Like, only I can spend quality time with my kids for me. So I cannot delegate that. Only I can go to the gym for myself. I can't delegate that. Only I can actually work for my employer. For what I am employed to do, only I can do it. So I decided and I learned to do and give my energy to only that which I can only do. That I can be able to delegate. Trust me, I'm going to delegate. Another one is combining activities. Sometimes you'll find that you're on a work travel. I always tell my kids, if you do good in your exams, or if you do really, really well, if you get all these things, give them a goal, and if they achieve that goal, then there's always a reward. It helps. Carrot and stick kind of thing. So if I'm on work travel and I'm able to take my kids or one of my kids with me, I will do that. And we go and have amazing time. So I am combining activities, making my work for my family, making my family work for my work, and it's a fun time. So for example, if I'm traveling on a Thursday, Friday for work, I will extend to the weekend, and during that weekend I'll bond with whichever kid I have gone out with, and these memories that we make with them are beautiful. And continuously evaluate or monitor what you're doing and see whether it's working. And again, as I keep saying, it's not a one size fits all. What is working for me may not work for you. There are those people who, unlike me, do not have the luxury of having flexibility at the workplace. So if yours is an 8 to 5 job, how do you ensure that your work is not spilling into your family life? And we know that during this particular period, and especially these very tough economic periods, we do not want to mess up our work. Not like any other time we want to mess up our work, but now more than ever, you want your job to be doing well. You want to be doing well at work, but don't let the panic and the fear of, oh my goodness, I can't afford to lose this job, get you to stretch yourself beyond the limits that you can be able to give. If you're a good employee, trust me, every organization would love to keep you. So having boundaries, don't feel like when you have boundaries, you're going to be putting yourself at a disadvantage. Just deliver, work really hard. One book that really helped me, it's called How Women Rise, and specifically it's written by Masha Goldstein and Sally somebody. It's a very good book. It talks about some of the things as women do that put us at a disadvantage unlike our male counterparts at the workspace. Please, I recommend that book. Go and grab it and read it. It has talked about 12 habits that you can be able to practice, you can be able to use in your career that will help you grow without feeling guilty. One of the things they talk about, one of the habits is overvaluing your expertise over your career or something like that. So sometimes as women, you want everything to be super perfect. You want to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, and you will even work overtime to ensure that is done. And then on the same breath, we don't know how to come and speak or toot our horn, so to speak. And you find that you're working so hard, but other people are rising, and they're rising because they have learned how to work smart and not to work hard. I'm not saying you don't work hard, but figure out, how do you balance working really hard and working really smart? How do you balance your work life with your family life? How do you balance your work life with your social life? If you're a parent, how do you balance time spent with your children, school activities, which are so important because they never come back again? How do you balance that? How do you get to negotiate with your employer for you to be able to integrate and make it work? You have to be really good at your work for you to have the negotiating power, the bargaining power. So work very hard at work. Be very intentional. Again, we're talking about intentionality. Our previous podcast was talking about intentional living. So be very intentional on both your work and your life, because both of them are you, and are yours, and they demand and they require for you to bring your best self. So be very intentional on the boundaries that you're putting in place at your workplace. It is okay to say no. So for example, if you're asked to have a meeting on a time that you have something else that you're doing, imagine it's okay to go, excuse me, unfortunately I'm not available at that particular time. Can I delegate for somebody to do it? Or can we be easy? Is there flexibility for us to be able to do that meeting another time? But sometimes you're so scared. You don't want to say that. You're like, what if they think I'm not serious? Everybody has a life. And as long as you're delivering, I say again, as long as you're a really good worker, nobody will refuse to understand that you have a conflicting personal thing that will not allow you to attend a particular meeting or a particular function. So it is okay. Be very intentional. Have your boundaries clear. Communicate with the people around you. Communicate with your family. Communicate with your employer. Communicate with the people in your office. So for example, if you're working from home, you need to communicate with your family. During this time, I'm having meetings, no disturbance. If you're working from the office and you need to leave early, do communicate. Don't sneak out. Communicate with your employer. Make them understand why it is that you need to leave early or do something. So in summary, be very, very structured. Be intentional. Have your boundaries. Respect both your family, your personal life. Respect your work life. Ensure that you have relationships that are going to work for you, both at work and at home, so that if you have an emergency, then you're able to communicate at work and you have credibility, little trust and support. If you need support at home from your friends, from your family, if you need, for example, to travel or do something, then you have people you can be able to count on. Make sure that you have a very tight support system that will work for you. I wish you well as you're trying to figure out this work-life integration thing. It's a juggling situation that I cannot tell you that I have figured out fully, but I'm doing the very best I can with the tools that I have. And the bottom line is I am intentional, and my employer knows I'm intentional. My kids know I'm intentional. So if I'm not able to spend time with them, they will understand because they know they are my priority. If I'm not able to be at work for a particular reason, they will understand because they know I am committed to work. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Thank you.